Good afternoon, everybody. If you're looking for something to do about climate change, you can rigorously dismantle capitalism. New IPCC report, redistribution of at least 10% of annual capital revenues. Also talking about a $240 per gallon gasoline tax along with carbon taxes, all because of a fictitious warming of our planet. They're talking about 1.5 degrees Celsius rise. We're only at 0.14. That's 10 times lower than they talk about in their reports. Yet they never talk about China's coal usage, and they do demonize anybody who points these facts out. And without a doubt, the climate is changing, but it's not CO2. It's the grand solar minimum. It's the sun driving our climate. These changes are real. They're here. How prepared are you for emergencies and skyrocketing food prices? My Patriot supply. Taking the fear out of difficult situations. The Adapt 2030 links below in the description box, as well as links to the Tri-Weekly Podcast Mini Ice Age conversation discussing these issues about how they're trying to control the economy and your lives moving forward into the reset button for our society. Starting off here, Eric Holthouse. If you're wondering about what you can do about climate change, this is in response to the new IPCC report. The world's top scientists just gave rigorous backing to systematically dismantle capitalism as a key requirement to maintaining civilization and a habitable planet. Well, it looks like Hurricane Michael started with your dismantling of capitalism. This is a look at one of the banks in Panama City, Florida. The scare factor 10 is out because CO2 is making hurricanes more intense, but that's just not true. Back to a sneak peek at the IPCC report. They talk about a reduction and redirection of 5 to 10% of annual capital revenues across the planet of any country, your income, your government expenditures, into some black hole fund with no accountability to try to cool the planet somehow. They're magically going to get up there and talk to the clouds and make them stop or do whatever they do. They're going to have a one-on-one with a jet stream. And this particular quote keeps getting pulled and pulled again. And because they're so into socialism and controlling your lives to control a fictitious enemy out there, and on our current path, the world will reach 1.5 C warming in as little as 12 years. Oh yeah, you told us that back in the 1990s, almost 30 years ago, and we're still nowhere close to where we should be. The world's top climate scientists are about to announce, without radical coordination action, how many times have we heard this now? 6, 10, 12 times through our lifetimes if you're 50 years old. We're going to be locked into warming at least 1.5 C. Bringing you over here to the University of Alabama Huntsville satellite temperature data set for the month of September. It is down from August. Look at the global temperatures on the 30-year baseline. We're 0.14. Not even 0.2 of a degree above. And here they are spouting off in the IPCC report about going up to 1.5 C. This is literally 10 times less than what they're talking about. And we're entering a grand solar minimum and a regular 11-year solar minimum. It's expected to cool anyway, and they're saying it's going to run up 1.5 degrees in the next 12 years. That person, whoever it is in the IPCC putting out where we are now, oh, runaway global warming. Yeah, we need to get new leadership in there that's actually taking a look at reality versus a political agenda. And again, we kept hearing, oh, it's the final chance to save the planet, final chance to save the planet. And I've linked below the article to the Daily Caller that gives you 12 different instances of when they've told us this since the early 1990s. It's the final chance to save the planet. So going back in history a little bit, systematically dismantling capitalism. Oh yeah, we tried that like several times, but it never worked. But continuing on, because we're in such dire straits of the planet warming, which we're not, they're now talking about instituting a $240 gasoline tax to fight global warming. Now again, they're going to start super high and it's going to scare you, and then you go, ooh, just only raise it $5, $10, $20, okay? Please, please, not $240, just $20 to be okay. So they're systematically going to roll this in incrementally. So they're looking for gas taxes at least $1.70 per gallon in addition to what you're paying. It's $2.60 average across the United States. So you're going to be looking at what? Something over $4 at today's range if they add this $1.70 tax in there to stave off a fake problem. And they're looking at the end of the century for $19 gas tax, not the price, the tax on the petrol. They also want to institute a new CO2 tax, which means a consumption tax on everything you buy, sell, do, communicate, anything you do. I'm surprised they're not including breathing, because you exhale 40,000 parts per million of CO2 when you breathe, but that's probably going to be in the future. They're going to try to tax your breath. But for right now, they want to incrementally global consumption tax of $5,500 per ton on CO2. Now, what's that going to do to our manufacturing? But all the while, this is focused in America. They just turn a blind eye, horse blinders on, for China's skyrocketing coal power. See how much coal China's using? But they're not squawking about taxing China, implementing all these radical taxes, leftist ideologies, communist dictatorship thinking. Oh wait, China's already like that, so they don't have to do much. But anyway, they're trying to bring it over here into the US, but they never talk about the elephant in the room. And bringing these types of issues out will get you branded as a skeptic. Repent! It's almost like the global warming church is back in, revived from the 1400s. Thanks for watching. Hope you got something out of the video. I go into this in much greater detail in the weekly podcast, Mini Ice Age Conversations, available anywhere on the net where they're hosting a podcast, iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Libsyn, SoundCloud. Because as these changes intensify in the grand solar minimum, reactions just like this are going to try to keep you distracted. Welcome to the reset button for civilization.